Hi, today what we're going to do is we are going to show you how to set paver stones. I've got a project going on where I needed to pull out and redo a plumbing, redirect some plumbing, and had to pull out some paver tiles, and I thought while I was doing it I'd just go ahead and put in new pavers. Got a pretty high quote to do that, figured I'd just end up doing it myself, and thought I'd show you how you might go about a project doing this on your own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera over here and I'm going to show you a couple of the tools that we need to complete this sort of a project. We just got a 4.5 inch angle grinder for that. You can either rent one or go out and buy one yourself. You are going to need some sort of hammers, right? And I've got a regular hammer and I've got like a 4-pound hammer that I'm using. Sometimes having a chisel here is nice as well, and I've got a couple of smaller ones, but this is the only one I had handy, so that, and then we've got a level for when we go ahead and we set the stones, and then obviously when you go to cut you're going to want a mask and you're going to want your goggles, protect your eyes, and then we've got our stones, and I've noticed out here that there's a couple of videos that show different ways to break stones. And the one thing that I kind of learned in doing this is that there is definitely a different density to the type of stone that you're using. This is a Cameron stone. This is super duper dense stuff. And I had a different stone that I was starting with, and this was more of a buckskin. And as you move this around, this stuff's pretty darn light. And when you go to snap it, you can actually snap it with the smaller hammer here on that buckskin stone. But with this Cameron, this stuff is so darn thick that when I watched people on YouTube breaking rocks, it was really they did it kind of easy, and I was like, wow. When I started getting into this, this stuff was just so much denser, it was harder to snap. And so what I found is that by using my bigger hammer here, that just goes through it like it's butter. So what I'm going to do is I've got to do a cut here on this piece, and then I'm going to cut this, I'm going to snap it for you, and then we're going to show you how I dry fit it and give you a couple of tips on that. So give me just a second to get set up here. Okay. Okay, so now if you are if you're watching other videos out here, these guys, some guys will just come out here and they'll tap right along here, and then they can snap it. But because this stuff is so dense, it is really hard to do that. I started out trying to do that, and it was taking me forever. So now what I'm doing is I'm scoring it with that grinder right there, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with the 4-pound, and hopefully it'll snap. Sorry about that. There you go. Snaps right off. Alright. So with that grinder, what we did was we cut about halfway through, and then just went ahead and hit it with that hammer, and it just scored it right along there, and boom, it's done. So that's a quick way to do that. So now let me show you where we're going to set that. So here is what we're doing, and I've dry fit all this stone that you see right here, and then we're working on the rest of the project here, as you can see. So we've got it all kind of laid in, and this is where we're going to put that stone that we just cut. So let me see if we can get you a good angle right here. Okay. And hopefully this will work okay. Alright. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there. Alright, so now you can see what we've done is we've dry fit the stone in here. I'm just going to dust it off a little bit. You might want to do this out in the yard so it doesn't get up on your patio, but I'm just being lazy for the video on this one. Alright, so we've gone ahead and we've dry fit that stone right there. And then, so you can see now how I did that cut, and it fits in perfectly with the natural contour of this other stone here. Now what we're going to have to do, and this is maybe just a little tip for you, is I've got another stone that I'm going to need to cut, this one right here. So what I like to do is I lay the stone I'm going to keep and not do the cuts on. I generally will put that on top of the stone that I'm about to cut so that I can trace the contour with a pencil or scratch it. So sometimes it's good to go ahead and take another piece and put it underneath the piece that you're about to set, or that you want to, before you do this cut over here, only because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you kind of get your outline right. So what I'll do is I'll typically take another rock, prop it under the one that I want to keep, right there, and then I'll go ahead and I'll trace that line. And I don't know if you can see this line or not, but I've taken the pencil and kind of traced along here for this, and what I'm going to do. So now what I'll do is I'll cut this one. This one will come flush to the ground. Then we'll just keep on working our way all the way down, and we'll get all these dry fit. And then once we get these dry fit, what we'll do is we will just take a 3-to-1 Portland cement to sand ratio. We'll mix that up in the wheelbarrow. Go ahead and scoop that in, set it down here, make sure that this stone gets flush with the existing concrete pad on both sides, that side and this side right here. We'll get this stone right here good and flush, tap it down. I use a rubber mallet for that, get it all nice and level, and then just move on to the next one, move on to the next one, and all the way down. And that's how you do it. And then here, I don't know if you can see down in here, but we've got a drain, right? So we'll have to make a little cut here, kind of contour this out, take this piece right here, cut this to contour so that we can put the drain in here. Then we'll set those pieces all flush, and we'll fill that in. Then here, these pieces are already cemented in right here, and you see I'm going to have to go through and put in grout. So This is the grout. We're just waiting on the grout on this one. And then what I like to do is when you do your cuts, right? And this is actually a natural side. This one's real straight. But when we do those cuts over here like we just did, I'll come along here with my hammer, my smaller hammer, and I'll hit these edges down just to tamp them down so it doesn't look like such a sharp angle on the stone itself. So I'll go through and I'll just kind of whack on those a little bit. And you can see lots of videos of guys will show you how to kind of trim that out, but I'll show you real quick here. If this was the cut here, I just kind of generally go along, hit it flat with the hammer, kind of down like that. And that helps just kind of take off the edges, and then your cut won't look like such a natural cut, right? And then I guess I didn't point out that I always do this on top of another rock, because when you go to snap it, you want there to be a gap down here to the piece that you're snapping, because you want it to be able to fall, no support. You're supporting, you got the support underneath the piece that you want to keep. That way you don't break any of the stone. Alright, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of sense of how you can do this. This is totally easy. It is within your abilities if you don't mind just spending a little bit of time. My total investment of time for all of this, it is going to be about probably 20 hours of my time on this top pad, another 20 down there. And then the stairs I don't think will take me too long. I've got that figured out now that I know what I'm doing. But my quote for this was 10 grand, and it is literally $2,000 worth of material for the entire patio. So that's this upper patio, these stairs, and then this lower patio. It's going to cost me less than $2 grand, somewhere around $1,700. 40 hours of work over the course of month and a half, 2 months, whenever I get around to it, and just kind of take my time and get it in. But way better than spending 10 grand on something that is completely within your ability to do. All right, so hope you found that educational, and let me know. Good luck to you.